Coming up on today's show. What inspires your fashion line, or what motivates you to make a difference in the fashion world?
We don't follow templates of what other people have been doing. We're trying to do something different.
My main motivation is trying to create sustainable fashion.
You want to make a statement with your clothing, right?
The Chinese were very open-minded, but I had some funny comments, like classic is boring, and elegant is old.
The Chinese are fearless with their mixing. They will mix anything together.
Fearless.
It's not always bad to be bad, if you know what I mean.
I know personally, I've seen trends and I've been like, what is this person wearing? And then 6 months later, half the people out are wearing the same outfit.
20 years ago, China was seen as just a copycat country.
If they're copying you, that means that you're doing something right.
Yes.
Welcome to China Chats, a FaceTime production brought to you by Radio Guangdong and GD TV World. Today's episode, we're broadcasting from a place full of creativity, a design studio transformed from an old beer factory here in Guangzhou. Today's topic is fashion, and we're sitting down with some of the best and brightest in the fashion industry and discussing the new trends in China and what it's like to work in the industry here. Our guests include Andy Corliss, founder and CEO of Bold and Untold, a creative arts company here in Guangzhou, as well as In the Red magazine, the only foreign-run fashion and arts magazine in South China. Our next guest is Natalie Blanc, a French fashion designer specializing in luxurious women's wear. After working with several famous brands in Paris and London, Natalie moved to Guangzhou to start her own label and has been working on a crossover collection with a local brand. And last but not least, Leona Gardner-Chan, British-Chinese designer specializing in knitwear. After studying in Britain and America, Leona moved to Switzerland to develop a knitwear collection for a major global fashion label. She transferred to their Guangzhou office in 2012 and hopes to start her own eco-friendly label to promote sustainable fashion. Thanks everybody for coming today.
Thank you.
So a lot of people maybe come here with a corporation or get transferred here. Some people get here spontaneously, but everybody kind of just gets that inspiration to do their own thing in Guangzhou because there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of manufacturers here, and it seems everybody feels that opportunity. So really, what inspires your fashion line, or what motivates you to really jump out and make a difference in the fashion world?
I think I just try to stay aware of my surroundings and observe people and just keep a sketchbook at all time with me. And as for China, yeah, that's it. That's what inspired me. All people around, and that dynamism and that movement.
It's a very diverse place.
Yes,
a lot's always changing.
Exactly, and more than an inspiration, it's like stimulation.
And you have to keep up with the new trends, right?
All the time,
and what's
yes.
going on.
You never stop. You never stop.
It's a constantly evolving business, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you just started your new business as well, so this rings true for you. What's your inspiration behind that?
I think our inspirations are quite similar. We're all inspired by what's going on around us, what's happening in the world, what's happening in China right now. Currently, my company, Bold and Untold, we're working on a bunch of different fashion shows for the summer, but primarily we're working on a new art paper that's going to be distributed monthly. But unlike some of the other stuff that's about, we're focusing on social events, and we're talking about different issues within society and trying to represent it through fashion.
So it's like an all-encompassing arts fashion company, if you will. So you're doing a publication, fashion shows, events, everything like that.
Yeah, but all of our fashion tries to tell a story, so it's not just a regular fashion shoot. Each editorial has a story and hopefully has a message for people. So rather than just see the fashion, they'll also feel something from it.
Something they can interact with.
Yeah,
that's great. That's a very creative idea. And with your brand, your new business that you're hoping to take somewhere, can you tell us a little bit about the ideas or the motivation behind that?
My main motivation is trying to create sustainable fashion.
Okay.
I think fashion in general, I have a kind of conflicting voice in my head saying, I really like strong design, but on the other hand, following trends and stuff is not what I'm so much interested in, because that's kind of promoting throwaway fashion, and that's not good for the environment. And I want to try and do something that's giving people good design, but also kind of encouraging them to keep it in their wardrobes, love it, wear it for the next 10 years.
Yeah, be able to use them several seasons.
Cool.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of recycling in trends as well.
Exactly.
It's really nice.
I mean, it's the way that fashion's going, but I want to try and contribute to that, do my bit for the environment, because we all know that it's kind of going down.
Yeah, especially
So,
here in
yeah,
China,
yeah,
manufacturing has taken a toll on the environment. And something that's interesting to me with fashion is that's very subjective. Everybody in the fashion industry has their own idea or own perspective on what fashion is. And we went ahead and asked some locals here in Guangzhou what they think fashion is. And let's look at their responses.
High fashion, it's skinny women wearing expensive outfits that no one else wears.
I like to see people who can bring out their personality, their mind, being visually stimulating.
我覺得 fashion 係同價錢冇關係，同品味都冇關係，係同你嘅選擇有關係。
我的感覺時尚是一種心態，我不覺得說穿得很 fashion 你就很時尚，但是我覺得如果是你對自己的一個生活態度是很積極的、很樂觀的、很正能量的，我覺得這就是一種時尚。
The best fashion for me in fashion is the Italian car, is the Italian jewelry, is the Italian dresses and everything which is connected to Italy.
I really love the fashion in Italy. They are not just design, they have culture inside. For hundreds of years, thousands of years, what is inside there? They will understand what is the quality of life for people.
高级时尚一定是民族特色，有民族特色，有民族性，但同時它又是用國際性的語言去表達的。
我唔覺得咩叫本土與國際之分，只有好同唔好，同埋你嘅選擇生活。
So in the video, we saw a lot of people associated high fashion with luxury, expensive labels. How do you feel about this, Leona?
I mean, I work for a major fashion label, and to a certain extent, I think it's true. You do pay for quality. You pay also for example, in the factories. If the people are well looked after,
of course,
for sure they need to be paid a bit more for good surroundings.
Kind of responsible manufacturing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Making sure everybody, that the manufacturing trends or the horror stories you hear of don't take place in your factories, right?
Exactly. Obviously, you pay for brands.
Yeah.
You pay for the status.
Yeah,
and I think
especially, right?
Especially in Asia, people will really pay for the status. You know that certain brands, for example, if you go to Hong Kong, you can pay maybe 3 to 4. Maybe even 5 times as much as you would pay for the brand in Europe, just because that's the level of the market here.
Wow, that's incredible.
So,
Andy, do you have a similar experience with this in regards to your fashion projects?
Yeah, kind of, but I was interested by looking at the video how many people said that fashion was about lifestyle, choice and expression, because I think that is at the heart of fashion. The fundamental values are lifestyle, choice and expression, expressing yourself. Somebody who really feels what fashion is and really understands fashion's concept, I mean, they don't need to spend so much. It's about expression, so they can perhaps buy something that isn't quite as expensive or isn't quite as high brand, but can still be very fashionable.
Again, it's that subjective feeling and point of view that you want to make a statement with your clothing, right? Tell us about your guys' reception thus far, the brands you work with or the brands you're launching. How's it been? Have the domestic consumers here in China been big fans? Have you had any fun comments about your projects or anything like that?
I think a lot of people find what I do interesting, because
interesting is better than boring.
Yeah, interesting because we don't follow templates of what other people have been doing. We're trying to do something different. So, like the company name Bold and Untold, we're trying to do stories that are a little bit out there, a little bit crazy, but at the same time have a real heart and meaning to them. So
you're not doing it just for attention. You're trying to really make a change.
I mean, it's trying to give a voice to to communities and types of people that need a voice, really. So we use fashion to document different types of people, different situations. People kind of connect to it because I think as a whole people we all have the same feeling of what is good, what is bad, what we feel in the world right now. So we all have this connection.
Very cool. So you're resonating well with the local people here.
Yes, I think so.
Very good. And how about your brand?
The Chinese were very open-minded and they were really looking forward to wearing designer clothes. So I was very welcome and so it was. I was very flattered. But I had some funny comments. Like I had the comments too complicated sometimes. Most from the technical team, but also from the customer. They won't sacrifice their comfort for an exclusive design. You have to combine both.
Okay.
They won't bother.
They have to be able to wear it.
They're very pragmatical. So which is it's very interesting. And something else was too elegant.
Too elegant.
So I was very puzzled. I was like, yes, how can a design be too elegant? And then I had that conversation with them, and I realized that they have some cliches, like classic is boring, and elegant is old, or makes you look old. So you have to be careful about even the words you're using when you present a design.
So it also really comes to the advertising and marketing you're using about how to promote it to where, oh, I can accept this product.
Exactly.
Very nice. And how about you, Leona? Working with your company now, you know, that's a big brand.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
well received here.
Yeah, definitely. The Asian market is growing in terms of brands. But also Chinese labels are up and coming, and people are realizing more that they like their homegrown fashion, they like their Chinese designers. And actually the first real Chinese designer label was established here in Guangzhou.
China has a lot of different, I guess, fashion styles, and I see things personally that kind of shock me every day, like, wow, you're really going to wear that outfit outside. That's incredible. It happens all over the globe, but a few fashion do's and don'ts, maybe some advice from any of you. Natalie, let's start with you.
Do's and don'ts.
I'm glad she's not looking at my outfit right now. She's being polite.
I would say that the fashionistas, the Chinese girls, mostly girls because I'm specialized in women's wear, they try a lot of things. They're very bold. They really mix a lot of things together, and they have fun. Yeah. So they play a lot. So they also making a lot of mistakes at the same time, of course. And also the fact that they need to show off. You know, the Chinese culture, you need to show that you spend money, that you succeeded. So just maybe don't try to show too much and don't accessorize too much.
Maybe don't try so hard to show everything.
I want to say I saw you, but you just can take out a few things and you'll be even prettier.
Yeah, very, very good point. Andy, how about you?
I think there are a lot of fashion don'ts we could all list. You know, like you shouldn't put a certain amount of colours together. You shouldn't wear black and brown. But generally, I think it's all about expression again. So you get people who will wear things that you might perceive as being bad, but then they can start a trend from this, like Madonna in the 80s. I hate to bring up Madonna, but you know, she had the big hair. She had the unshaven armpits as well at the time. And looking back now, that would seem as a bad fashion choice. However, at the time it inspired all the teenagers to follow her and all the girls, and it also said something about the aesthetic pressure that we put on women at the same time. So, I mean, it's not always bad to be bad, if you know what I mean. It can also make a statement.
Kind of lead to new. I know personally, I've seen trends, and I've been like, what is this person wearing? And then 6 months later, half the people out are wearing the same outfit. And I'm like, maybe I'm not seeing something. You know, I'm not in the fashion industry, but that's my personal preference. How about you, Leona?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Chinese are fearless with their mixing. They will mix anything together.
Fearless, that's a good word.
It's actually kind of admirable that they'll just have fun with it and put anything together. Yeah, mixing all different colors, textures, whatever.
It's just fun for them.
And we actually asked some locals here again, you know, who inspires you? What trends inspire you? What's your inspiration for the clothes you wear? And here's what they had to say.
I don't know. I just love the beautiful things. That's it. I just love the beautiful things.
You know, I guess, you know, over a period of time, just observe what people are wearing in the street, and once in a while, I might see something like, you know, that's kind of neat. Yeah, might be interested in buying something like that.
My wife do it for me, actually.
在我心目当中，我觉得张曼玉算我的 fashion icon 吧，因为我觉得她是一个对生活很大胆的一个女人，也非常有魅力，也有自己的很成功的一面。
I like the first lady.
彭丽媛
I've seen her on TV a few times. Very well-dressed lady.
优雅、知性、大方，然后也展示了我们的原创的实力。当然，她的服装也非常符合中国人的气质特点，这一点是特别难得的。
她不管从外形来讲，还是说品味，然后各方面都是我们学习的榜样。对。
So again, a lot of interesting perspectives from our interviews, and a lot of people mentioned some celebrities. Of course, the First Lady of China was mentioned, wearing a local brand here. Can we kind of come back to that point and talk about where is domestic fashion going in China? How are the local brands doing versus the foreign brands?
in terms of China, and after the First Lady, she wore the Exception brand. I mean, it did a lot for the image of the brand. It showed that China was able to make something that represented its culture and could compete with international brands. And brands like Exception and Yohji Yamamoto, they've got a very natural essence about them. They're something about Chinese tradition, the Zen kind of kind of thing, and very clean living, sustainable living. The shapes and patterns are very interesting, and they kind of represent the environment as well as the person. So it's about the fashion that protects you. It also talks about your environment, your lifestyle.
We've been talking about fashion a lot and the changing market and how exciting it is. But of course, whenever there's a lot of change, there's also going to be a lot of challenges. Can you guys kind of jump into maybe some of the problems you run into, maybe copycats or manufacturing?
Copying in the fashion industry is kind of natural. I mean, from the big labels that are on the runways to the high streets, that in itself is a bit of copying, because they copy the kind of the trends, but also the elements that are in the designs, and they put them into more wearable fashion. But yeah, it's difficult out here, because before the Chinese brands developed, I mean, 20 years ago, China was seen as just a copycat country.
Of course.
It was huge on manufacturing, but only copying designs from the West.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still kind of a problem for the big design labels that they have a lot of
bigger brands,
fakes out there.
It has to do with a lot of copycatting,
Yeah,
and maybe
definitely.
making of the fake products, manufacturing of the fake products. And Natalie, do you see some copycats out there as well? Or what are some challenges you run into?
Right now, it's very strong and it's unavoidable, but I try to tell myself that they will copy the biggest brands and the most famous ones. So maybe at some point, if they copy me, maybe it's a good sign.
That's a sign of flattery, right?
So finally, I can take that as a compliment, because legally, at our level, there's nothing we can really do. And we're not going to go to a factory, give a design, and say, by the way, don't copy it.
Yeah,
because the relationship's going to be biased. You know, we cannot start on that foot. So, try to take put things into perspective.
Well, I mean, of course, the saying is imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? So if they're copying you, that means that you're doing something right.
Yes.
And you've all been here a couple years. Something very interesting for the audience would be, if they wanted to come here, get involved in the same industry, do you have any tips or tricks or words of advice for people who want to get into the Guangzhou fashion scene? Andy?
I think you need to understand the culture, so you need to take some time to get to know the people, get to know the area. Because everything we do, really, we're in China, but we're representing the Chinese culture and community. That's the reason we're here. We're not just representing the international community. We're trying to bring the two together. So I think the first and foremost thing is to understand the culture and realise what you can actually do to impact it or to develop it.
That's a great point. You just can't show up somewhere and expect to jump right into the market, right? There's a learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to come here, you've got to, first of all, realise that it's China. There's a big difference between Eastern and Western culture.
Absolutely.
There'll be culture shocks for sure, but you have to accept them and kind of embrace them. If you kind of worry too much about them, you're going to end up blocking yourself. So I think learning the language, first of all, is a big stepping stone to helping you out for working with factories or
a great way to
things
build
like
the
this. Yeah, working with the locals, because the locals know best. They know the market.
Absolutely.
So if you want to really do well, I think you have to build those relationships with the locals.
Natalie, do you have anything to add on to this?
It's kind of the same thing, like be patient, be humble, and don't try to impose your ideas straight away.
That's a great point.
Wait to also, because we come to bring them something, the quality, the sense of detail, the refinement. They can also bring us a lot of things, and they do know how to do many things very well. So be patient and ready to understand them and make compromises. And another thing I would say, work fast.
Work fast.
Be the fastest.
Always.
It goes very, very fast in fashion sphere, in fashion world. But in
it's
China,
the most important
it's
to be
even
first,
faster.
right?
Yeah.
Always, always. Great. Well, thank you guys all very much for your insights today. That's all the time we have for China Chats, so we look forward to seeing you next time.